All right. Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Todd Gorishek, and I am a men's empowered action life coach. And I'd like to begin by just sharing a little bit about my journey and why I became a life coach, why I thought it was important. I've been involved in men's personal growth work for 16 plus years now. And in my life, I reached a point where I needed some answers to some things, and I went looking, and I ended up in a group of men who provided me mentorship, encouragement. They challenged me, and so basically, when I went into this situation, I was 40 years old, so typical midlife crisis thing, and I'm like, who am I? And who am I as a man in this world? What is a man? Maybe that's even the more basic question, right? And so through many years of me working very hard on myself and with others, I discovered some truths for me that I think are applicable to men in general. One of them is through the support of the men in my circle, it became very apparent to me that it takes one man to sharpen another man. And as men, metaphorically, I believe we carry swords. And if our sword is sharp, to me, that means that I can speak directly into a situation without coming at it sideways. It means that I can have clear boundaries and limits. So I maintain a sense of, I'm going to say control for myself. And so I can choose actions instead of reactions. And I think that's important. But through this process of having a sharp sword as opposed to wielding a dull blade, and this is where I believe men get into trouble, where I've been in trouble in my own life, is we just start hacking and whacking, and think of it like just flesh tearing and yanking and pulling, and it's the exact opposite of what a skilled surgeon with a sharp scalpel would do, right? I can have a conversation with my wife, or I can have a conversation with my sons, or I can have a conversation with other people, and if I'm sharp with it, if I cut cleanly, I can communicate very clearly what's going on, what my needs are, what my desires are, what my ask is from someone else, without it becoming a wounding event or a destructive event or creating collateral damage. So in the work that I did on myself and with other men through these last 16 years, I see that a lot of collateral damage can happen with men who do not have a sharp sword. So as a life coach, I choose to engage men in a way that helps them understand in the process of attaining their goal, how they do that very clearly, cleanly, and exacting, I suppose. This energy between men changed my life. It changed who I saw myself as a man and how I show up in the world. And so I'm taking that energy now and working with other men in their goals and aspirations, but I'm bringing this part of me into it. It's a very real part. It's an authentic part. So I work with men who are 35 to 55 years old primarily, and they want to achieve a goal or they want to change something in their life. At this point, what I do is not specific when they come through the door. What gets specific is the thing that's getting in their way of them getting what they want. And that specific part is dealing with wounds and false beliefs that get created from the wound. My work with men generally is just very, kind of boring, actually. It's like, hey, I want to make X amount of dollars, or, I'd like to do this differently in my career, or I'd like to lose this kind of weight. I mean, it's just like, okay. But inevitably, what happens is along the way, there's this thing that gets in their way of going into the next step, of making that next piece in their journey. And that's the thing we look at. And how I look at it is I bring the body, the emotions, and the language we use all together. So I'm an ontological coach. It's using those three aspects. And I think of it like a Venn diagram. So where that intersection occurs in those three areas, that's the sweet spot. That's the transformational place. That's the place where men can create a shift, sometimes a paradigm shift in their thinking, and they move forward in their lives and how they do things. And it's pretty exciting. So basically, a man comes to me, we have a session for 50 minutes to an hour, and it begins by creating a container. Container building is very important to me energetically. I help the man through either a meditation, a breathing exercise, a guided visualization, wherever the guy is at, right? I mean, because not everybody's into the whole meditation thing or whatever, but I meet him where he's at. And what we try and do is become very, very present with each other and create this container, because the container, when it's solid, it allows a man to go to some very vulnerable places, maybe scary places, and that's where the work can get done. And so we move forward from there. I ask the man what it is that he wants to look at. If he doesn't know for sure, I ask probing questions to help him clarify it. I also ask what he wants to walk away with. So when we're done with the conversation, it's very concrete and productive. It's like, yeah, I got this to go home, to leave with. And that thing that he wants serves as our guide through the conversation. So why do I think I'm a good coach? Because I'm able to create trust with a client relatively quickly. And I take that very seriously. Basically what happens is, because of this energy that I can create or co-create with the man in the room, with the man in my session, this co-creation allows the man to trust me enough that he's held in care, and trust me enough to hear maybe some hard things that I can reflect back to him that I'm picking up. And when a man or a person can approach learning or change from a place of safety or a place of non-judgment to move forward, it just brings down a whole lot of barriers, and it just makes it a lot easier to do. And that's the type of environment that I create or strive to create with every session.